Alrighty, so I thought I would kind of do a video to talk more about my Peugeot 505s. You guys have probably seen videos on all three of mine and wondered, well, where does this guy get all of these cars and how does he get them and what's the story behind them and so forth. So I thought I'd start with this one, being that not only was it the first 505 wagon I had, it was that got me started into Peugeots. It's a 1984 Peugeot 505 GL turbo diesel station wagon. It's got about 253,000 miles on it, and I will admit it does look like it. It's got lots of rust. See it all around here. And it's the unfortunate aspect of New England. Well, I guess I should start with the story of this car. My father bought this car way back in 1990 out of North Carolina, and then he drove it up that same year up here to Connecticut and has lived up here ever since. He daily drove it for 13 years, and then it got parked, I think around 2003 or 4, because it was having some problems running. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then it sat for about 9 or 10 years. And just when he was about to scrap it, I said, well, why don't I go ahead and try to get it running. So I was probably about 8 or 9 at that time, and we got it running. And just over those last 10 years, I've just been working on it and doing different things to it, trying to get it in better condition, at least get it running and driving. So I worked on the brakes and got all of those working, or at least the fronts, I should say. Put a new master cylinder on it. Put new tires on it, probably about 2 years ago, I think it was. And just been doing other work on it ever since. But for the most part, cosmetically, it's mostly the same. The only thing I did this year, actually, was paint the hood. That looked really bad before. The paint was faded coming through, and you can see now, although it's not perfect, it's far from it. It does look much better than it did before. You can go back on my channel and see some of the older videos I did on this car and see where the paint was faded on the hood. You might also realize that I think the first video I actually did on this car didn't have any hubcaps on it. I had the hubcaps, I just had taken them off because the wheels I had on this car before, I should say the tires, were so bad that the valves were leaking and so dry rotted I couldn't really even move the car around. So I'd taken a couple spare wheels I had on it and I put those on there. So I'd never put the hubcaps back on, but it's got the hubcaps again. These are the original hubcaps, I think. But if you remember on the earlier videos, you might have realized that the bottom doors here were just really rusty all across here. And so I, sort of poorly, as you can see, right there, painted them. And also painted what's left of the rockers. So just to make it look a tad bit better. Let me show you on the other side though, where I missed probably the biggest cosmetic difference. I don't know if I have a picture or a video on this. This door here was, all here was rust. All of this here was rust. This was all rust. So I kind of sprayed some paint, or at least from maybe 40 or 50 feet. Looks okay. Unfortunately, I didn't do a very good paint job, so it's starting to peel again. So I might have to address that. I think I've put about, I think when I started driving, I had about 250,000 miles, so I put about 3,000 miles on it. I think I used it as a spring-summer kind of daily driver for, about a year or so. It really just wasn't too, this car isn't in very good condition overall, to be honest. It's very rusty. The interior's in pretty rough shape. I'll show you that in a minute. It's not the most pleasant car to be in, to be honest, but it's a good workhorse. And so that's kind of what I use it for now, especially now that I have the other two 505s in the background there. It did serve me well over that time. It really doesn't give me a whole lot of issues. I did rebuild the rear brakes as well. I did those this winter and spring, I guess you could say. And yeah, so now all the brakes are in good condition. I haven't done much to the engine, to be honest. I did some little work to it. I do the typical oil changes and stuff. Not much though. Really doesn't need much. These diesels really will run basically forever with very little maintenance. As I said, this one has 253,000 miles. It still runs very well. You see the Peugeot World Rally Championship sticker. I added that. These 84 GLs did not come with that. I think they started adding those later on, around 86 or so. But a friend of mine made those and decided to put some on my 505s. So anyway, I'll show you around on the inside. And see the interior. The interior is a very rough condition. It is clean, however, though. I just cleaned it out, so as you can see, seats are in very rough condition. I think my father did try to reupholster them at some point, but that has even failed. See, I think that is the original floor mat. Get in here. Now this steering wheel is out of a, I think, I got it out of the junkyard. I think it was an 85 S turbo diesel. So this is not the original wheel. I have the original wheel actually. It's in pretty, well, actually I think the original, I have another wheel that came out of here. I think it wasn't original, it was a leather wrapped wheel. And then I have the original wheel, which is actually kind of rough. Just getting baked in the sun. This one, you see, is even starting to crack out here. As you can see, it has 253,679 miles. But you can see there's a dash. It's in very rough condition. It's not the original radio. This is the second or third radio that's been in here. This is the one I've put in here. It's just a Kenwood unit. It works pretty well. I think only 1 or 2 speakers work, not many. It's an automatic, 3-speed, 3 HP 22 with the XD2S 2.3 liter turbo diesel. As you can see, there's just little things like this that are just not quite perfect. The GLs had manual windows, so as you can see, crank windows. Very nice though. You don't have to worry about them breaking. So I'll show you the rear now. This is actually in better condition. I don't know if anybody ever really sat back here. The seat is pretty nice. The only reason this is ripped here is because this door used to not open. It's locked shut. Matter of fact, the lock doesn't work now either. But I had to disengage the lock. To get the door panel off, there's like 3 screws underneath here. And you're just kind of laying on the seat trying to get this out. So that's unfortunately how that came to be. I guess the stitching was a little, I don't know, a little too strong, I guess. So it's ripped. But otherwise, the seat is pretty much in good condition. But it's pretty amazing considering the mileage and the age. And this car sat outside, as it most of its life. No floor mats on this side because these 505s tend to have a tendency to leak water on the right side for some reason. I can't quite figure out why. It doesn't help that this one has a lot of rust. And yeah, that can be a problem. So I just took the mats out. And in fact, the front passenger mat now lives in my 85 wagon, which is behind this one, the gray station wagon, the diesel. And since I needed a driver's floor mat, that's where it currently resides. So I'll show you the back. Hopefully it's open. Grab the key. Now usually it isn't like this because like I said earlier, I use this car for work and a lot of landscape and stuff. So usually it's very dirty back here, a lot of grass, but I just cleaned it out, so it looks pretty neat now. These chrome strips do pop up. You can fix them, but I haven't fixed this one. So yeah, I mean it's a work wagon, that's for sure. And this is one of the things I am going to fix. I can just sand this down, paint it, and then reapply the rubber strip that goes across the rear here. So at least to make it look a little better, you know. Let me pop the hood so we can look at that engine. These cars had about 80 horsepower. I think they're about 80 horsepower. I forget the torque ratings on these. It's about 90, 95. And about 85, they went to a bigger XD3 in the sedans. I think got about 90 horsepower. And in 86, the wagons finally got that XD3. They're quite hard to find though, however. I'll pop this on there, see if I can do it one handedly. So as you can see, there it is in all its glory. The XD2S. believe this is the original motor. I believe, I'm not quite sure. I know, looking at repair receipts, that sometime around 1995, the timing chain broke. So I maybe assume it's got some upper end, top end work been done regarding maybe a head gasket, valves, and whatnot. So I know it has a new timing chain in it and stuff like that. But I think the rest of it is pretty much original. Obviously some components. I know I had to get the alternator fixed. I believe the water pump's been replaced and some other stuff. The power steering does not work. Well, it does, but it leaks like crazy. I think one of the high pressure lines is bad. I decided just to take the belt off, along with the AC as well, which I should show you. You can see it down there. Compressor is seized, so that doesn't work either. It's not a big deal to me. Never had a car with AC. As you can see, currently I fortunately have this inline fuel filter. This is the factory filter here. I just put a new bowl on it and a new diaphragm, and the diaphragm failed. So I have to put another new one on. I have it, I just haven't done it yet. So in the meantime, I have this Fram inline filter. It works. See, there's some rust here. It's getting pretty bad there. My long-term plan for this car is just to hopefully restore it, bring it back to its, former glory. There's a lot of sentimental connection to this car, being that it's been my family for, I think, going on 33 years now. So I'd like to keep it that way, and I'd like to fix it up and get it back to original condition. So let me go start it up and put the hood down. We'll start it up real quick, and then we'll end this video. Now I think I have had some problems starting on this car. I believe it needs 2 new glow plugs, and maybe even I adjusted the valves this spring, but I think they might be slightly off because cold starts can be kind of tricky. Here, I'll show you. I'm going to give it 2 cycles of the plugs, actually. We'll see how it does. Sometimes it's a little rough, a little difficult to start. Let's see. I did just start it up. It's not warm. So as you can see there, it did start up quite easily. Just a little thaw, maybe. Tachometer will come back later. I guess not today for the video. We'll take a little walk around. I'm not going to talk because you won't be able to hear me. I will let you know that the exhaust right now is, try to go back here, you hear me? The exhaust is disconnected. About right in the middle there between the 2 doors. The pipe broke a while ago and I found something together, but I guess that only works too well, so that needs to be repaired. So the exhaust is not coming out the rear there. But like I said, it runs well. Obviously not perfect, far from it, but it's a good running car for what it is. Alrighty, so thank you very much for watching this, and I'll be doing some more videos on my others. We'll do the backstory on there. Those are a little more interesting since I bought those and I have a little more info on those. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care.